Hi guys, over the past week I received a lot of messages on LinkedIn and a few comments on YouTube as well that you guys wanted a good quality course on several topics, and meanwhile I was also doing my research that what could be the best way to proceed and stuff. So yeah, my research is just done and I would be launching a course on 16th January itself, that is 2 days from now. So in this video we are going to talk about everything you need to know to get into these top-notch companies or to become a good programmer in general. So without further delay, let's get started. So about me, just a small introduction. So right now I'm top 1% globally at Lead Code. I do have a night batch over there. I'm expert at Code Forces, a 5-star coder at CodeShift. I'm a software engineer at Microsoft from 2022 till now. Also, I managed or I developed a crypto exchange earlier. So not the entire crypto exchange, but yeah, some parts of it from 2019 to 2020. I recently completed my master's from IIT Roorkee in 2022 itself on June or May 2020. Right? Okay. Yeah, that's about me. So what all do you need to get into these top-notch companies to grab that big package or to be a good programmer in general? So first thing you'll be needing is to have a nice coding profile or a good coding profile. So you have to be an active coder on Codeforces, CodeChef, LeetCode. These are the minimum. You can add more names to it. You can say like GFG, that's Geeks, or Ad Coder, Top Coder. There are tons and tons of website, but yeah, these are the minimum. Even if you are actively participating in these, that would be sufficient. If you want more, you can go and check out these. Cool. So also you have to have a good project on your resume. You don't have to build something like Facebook or Twitter or something that complicated. Definitely don't have to be Mark Zuckerberg, but yeah, something nice on the resume always looks better and gives you upper edge over the other people. So immense knowledge of data structures and algorithms is definitely required if you're applying for a software engineer role. Also, your passion for the technology should itself reflect on the resume, because resume is the first piece of paper the recruiter is going to see that's going to tell him or her about you. So this, if it's not reflected on a resume, there's no way they're going to know about it. So make sure this happens. Also, you should have a decent CGPA. I'm not talking about something that you should have above 9 or maybe like 9.5 CGPA. If you have that, well and good. If you don't, there's no problem. But make sure you have something like above 7.5 or 8. 8 is a good criteria. If you have are having something above 8, it's good. Even if you're having 7.5, you might still be able to make the cut, but it's not that safe, I'll say. So 8 is good. Also, you should have fine soft skills. People tend to be a lot worried about soft skills. It's not like you have to be Shashi Tharoor or like have to have a British accent or American accent. Definitely not required. But you should have soft skills up to a level such that you are able to easily convey your thought process to the recruiter or to the interviewer. So if you lag over here, definitely improve on that. Now, where all can I help? So yeah, I can help in this. Let me change the color. Okay. So yeah, I can help over here, right? I can help you with knowledge of data structures and algorithms. Maybe over here, if we like start chatting on Discord and stuff, maybe I could help you over here. I'm not sure if I can help you over here at least, because this requires your academia or college curriculum. But yeah, whenever you'll be giving examination for data structures or algorithms, this channel might help you. Also, for reflecting your passion for technology, I can help you over here as well. So yeah, I do like check a few columns over here. Cool. Let's proceed further. So what about referrals? So what are referrals first of all? So when you're applying for a job, right? Let's say you apply for Google. Now tons of people apply for Google on daily basis. So is Google gonna read all the resumes? No, it doesn't, right? So a lot of resume just end up being in the dustbin itself. So they are never read, never opened. So how to make sure that your resume is at least considered? So what you can do is that you can ask a Google employee or an employee working at any company. So over here we were talking about Google, hence I said a Google employee, and then ask him to give you a referral. If the person agrees and gives you a referral, then your resume has a good chance of getting reviewed. That's it about referrals. So how to get a referral? So I do have a good detailed post on it on LinkedIn. I'll put the link to that on in the description or in the pinned comment. You can check that out. It's pretty detailed. It talks about a lot of things. Yeah, that should help you. Other than that, you should have a nice coding profile, because even if you text someone, it's highly likely that he won't take you seriously, he won't refer you. But on the other hand, if you're able to show him that, okay, I'm a 5-star coder or code chef or a 6-star coder or or expert on code forces, right? If you have these batches or tags with you, then a person is going to be interested in your profile. He would definitely help you, or there's a high probability that he's gonna help you. Now you can go for cold texting. So what's cold texting? So cold texting is like randomly texting people you don't even know, who are out of your connections. So let's say you refer like cold text 10 people from, let's say, Meta. So Meta is Facebook, right? So yeah, you refer like take cold text 10 people. Out of the 10 people, it's highly likely that at least one would open your message, go through it, and that's the benefit of cold texting. So even if you have a 10% chance of a person opening your message and going through it, still you will be able to, if you are like texting 10 people in total or cold texting 10 people, still you have an expected value of 1, right? Or you have a expected value of 100% of the person going through your message. I hope that made sense to you. Also watch out for opportunities. So every company, or let me say every good company, may it be Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Google, all of these have their own job portals where they keep floating opportunities or floating job vacancies. So you have to watch out for them. Whenever you see a job vacancy that fits the role you want to go for, you should ask an employee if you're already in contact with one, or you could try cold texting, and you can ask for a referral. Also, you can always reach out to me for if you want a referral for Microsoft in particular. However, if you have a good coding profile, then any employee would be more than willing to give you a referral. So I hope all of this made sense. Now the concept of referral is clear. Let's move ahead. So how to be a good programmer? So it's coding, coding, and coding, and just coding. So yes, it's definitely the most important aspect. And so let's get on to the next thing, that why coding. So it makes us better at problem solving. So that's number one thing, and one of the most important things as well. It makes the mind sharper. It gives a true sense of competition, because what would happen is that when you will be coding on these platforms, so what contests are, what all of this is, I'll definitely be explaining it in the week 0 of my roadmap. Don't worry if you're not able to understand these jargons, but just follow along for now. So yeah, what happens is that on these platforms, for example on code forces, let's say you are giving contest. So contest basically means is that there would be a set of problems, and all of you people would try to solve it. Now on these platforms, the best coders of the world are there. So when you give contest on these platforms, you're competing with the best. Hence it gives you a true sense of competition, that where do you stand at the global level and where do you stand at the all India level, because these are going to be the people who you are going to compete with in the upcoming placements, or whenever you are trying to go for companies. So you should definitely know the people you're going to compete with. Hence this is a good option. Okay, so once you're good at problem solving, or once you're a good programmer, then almost everything becomes a lot easier to learn. So let's say tomorrow you want to learn a certain language, or you want to learn a certain skill. Now being a good programmer has a high being a good programmer, you have a high chance of learning that skill easier than someone else who's not a good programmer. It's not a relationship that would be true always, but yeah, most of the times. Cool, so we are done with this as well. So it's an everlasting process. So the joy of learning new things what would never end, because you'll never be at a position where you can say that I've learned everything. So even the best coder in the world learns something new, right? So he might get stuck at a problem, then he'll think about it, then maybe he learns some new algorithm, or he learns another way of doing the same. So it's a everlasting process, and you'll never ever get bored of it. Coming to the biggest benefit in India, the reason I'm saying it in India is because I know a lot of people in Russia or China or USA whose sole motive of doing competitive programming is to get better at it, and they take it as a sport. However, in India, we generally do competitive programming just because we have to get a job. So yeah, let's talk about that. So yeah, job. So if you're applying for a good company for a SD role or a software engineer role, the thing they're going to ask you is coding actually, or problem solving. So this definitely is gonna help you over there, and it's the most crucial aspect as well. So this would be the deal breaker. If you know programming, well and good. If you don't know programming, you are out in the first round itself. Cool. Let's move ahead. So what is coding now? We already discussed why coding and all that stuff, but what is coding? So coding is kind of an arbitrary term. So let me call it problem solving. So you are given with the problem, and you have to come up with an algorithm. So for example, you have to develop instructions that you should give to a computer to perform operations and get the desired output. If that doesn't make sense, let me give you a small example. So for example, I ask you to make a program or to write a software which calculates the sum of two numbers. So what you'll do, you'll make a software. Let's say this is my software, right? You'll ask me two inputs. So you'll say give me the first number, so let's call it num1, and give me the second number, num2, and then you're gonna give me the output, right? So the output should be num1 plus num2, since we are calculating the sum. What should this software do then? So this software would actually read the inputs, sum it up, right, and then return it. So these are the instructions you're gonna give it. This is a short example of an algorithm. But wait, do computers understand human readable language? So if you tell them, okay, read the input, sum it up, return the output, you are able to understand it, right? But a computer won't. The computer doesn't understand human readable languages. It doesn't understand English or Russian or Portuguese or Hindi, whatever you may be comfortable with. So in order to communicate with the computer, you need to write the instructions in a programming language. So for example, you can do it in CPP or Python or Java or C or Erlang or whatever, right? So there are tons of programming languages out there. You need to choose any one of them, and then you can write your algorithm in it, and then tell the computer what it needs to do. Then the computer would know that, okay, this is expected out of me, and this is the set of instructions I need to follow, and so as to get a desired output. So yeah, that's all problem solving is. So how to get better at it? We already discussed there are a lot of benefits of it, but how do we get better at it? So practice makes a man perfect, and woman too. This is something that you'll get better with time. If you stop doing it, definitely at some point in time you'll realize that you are not good at it as much as you were in the past. So you have to keep practicing it. You have to be consistent with it, and that's how you're gonna get better at it. Now, how much would all of it cost? It only costs you time, not money. So everything you'll need, or everything I'm gonna teach over here, would be absolutely free. It's not even gonna cost you a single penny. Let's move ahead to how to proceed. So yeah, there are a ton of ways to proceed, but I got you. So I have built a custom roadmap for you. I'll be teaching all the things for free, and you can learn them and implement them and become better at coding. But the first question is, why should you follow my roadmap rather than building on your own? Can't you just build your own roadmap? Yes, you can. But it would just be easier to follow this one, because I'll be sharing my experience and the mistakes I did, so that you don't do the same mistakes, and you are able to grow in a better way or faster. So other than that, I'll be also hosting doubt clearing sessions, and you can also clear the doubts on with your peers. So we'll be having Discord group. So for those who don't know what Discord is just a social platforming application which has a ton of features. So it becomes easier for learning communities to have groups over there and learn gradually along with their peers. So we'll be having a Discord group wherein you can post your doubts, and your peers could clear them up, or even I could jump in and maybe solve your doubts. So this would be really beneficial, but because trust me, when you're learning, you'll obviously have a lot of doubts. There would be questions you're not able to solve, and then you'll need someone's help. It's possible that you are able, like you had a doubt, you kept researching on it, and after 10 hours you came up with a solution. Well and good, but it would have saved you around 9 hours if in the first hour itself you asked for help and someone actually helped you, right? So yeah, it's always a time saver, and it's always better to have doubt clearing sessions and learn with your peers. Also, you will gradually learn, right, along with others. So the benefit of this is that at times you might feel demotivated or not so motivated, let's say, so as to learn new things and grow. But when you'll observe that everyone besides you is studying, or everyone besides you is learning, so that develops a urge to learn stuff and to grow in the same pace as others. So this sometimes is beneficial as well. So I won't call it peer pressure, but some sort of a peer pressure you can say, which is actually positive. Cool. Let's move ahead with that. So tips for the roadmap. So try to solve all the questions. So whenever I'll post a video, so let's say I start teaching hashing. So I'll teach you the entire thing you're gonna need for hashing, right? I'll teach you the basics, how hashing is done, what's the maths behind it, how the computer performs it, what are the things you should be worried about, what the time complexity is, everything you'll ever need to know. I'll be talking about all of it, right? So after that, I'll be posting a few questions in the description of the video or on the Discord server. So you have to go through those questions and try to solve them. Try to solve all of those questions. If you have any doubts, post in the Discord server. Every one of us will look at it. We'll try to answer him. But first, try this question on your on your own. It shouldn't be the case that you see a question and directly post it on the server or the group. You should first try it on yourself. Okay. So clarify doubts in the group. That's understandable, right? Try to help your peers because till now I only discussed that your peers would be able to help you, right? But you should always try to help others as well. This actually helps you two ways. So the group or the community becomes more live because people are posting questions and you are actually helping them. In return, your knowledge also increases because when you are helping others, so that concept solidifies in your brain and it becomes more concrete. So it's always beneficial to help others as well. Also, if you're left behind, try to pick up the pace. So what could happen is that you had a family function or you were busy for some reasons, maybe it was your semester exams or something like that, so you got a bit distracted or you couldn't be at the same pace as others. In such a scenario, you can always try to pick up your pace. So for example, you missed a topic sorting, right? And now I've already started teaching. I don't know what comes after it, I'll have to see the roadmap, but let's say a topic A came up, right? So what you can do is that you can like start studying sorting first. You can start studying at 2x. Let's say you are giving now 3 to 4 hours per day. Initially you used to give only 1 to 2 hours. So this topic, let's say it took 3 days for everyone to study, it would just take you 1.5 day, right? 1 or 1.5 day. So you'll be able to complete it fast and then be able to match up with the pace of others. So this is something I'll definitely recommend. Don't try to burn out yourself, right? Don't try to get into such a situation, but try to push yourself. That's what I'm saying. Okay, try contest even if you're unable to solve even a single question. So there would be contest, right? Initially, if you are a total beginner, you'll not definitely not be able to solve even a single question, right? So even then you should at least sit in the contest, try to solve it first. If you're not able to solve it, it's fine enough. If you're able to solve it, that's the cherry on the cake. That's really great. And after the contest is over, you can always see my videos and like try to find out how the intuition worked for that question and was the way you were thinking about the question the optimal way or not. Also, don't cheat. This is a major thing. This thing has been on the rise recently, but this thing is pretty detrimental. Please don't do it. Also, be consistent. The only reason it's mentioned in bold and stuff over here and in caps over here is that this is one of the most important things, right? I can teach you everything of the world and still you won't know anything if you're not consistent with it. So being consistent is your friend over here. You can't actually avoid it. Let's move ahead. So let's start with the tools you're gonna need. So these are the basic tools, right, that you're gonna need. So start your CP journey, and these would be common for both the beginners and the intermediate people. For the rest, you can see that I have different categories for beginners and intermediate people. However, these tools should be common because I feel some of these things might not even be known to people who are at an intermediate level, right? So I would suggest even the intermediate people to go through these videos at least once. If you think you already know the concept, try to play it at 2x maybe, right? So that at least you know if you if I'm discussing something you had no clue about, then you'll be able to learn that concept at least. So I'll be discussing about CPP. So I'll be discussing what C++ is, why should you use it, and how to write code in C++. This would be a super noob video. So even if you're not from coding background, if you have no knowledge of any programming language, this would be the right video for you. I'll explain everything from bottom to a pro level. So I'll teach you the code I write exactly, or the template structure I use. Everything would be covered in a short video, and trust me, you'll be able to understand all of it. Then I'll be going through combinatorics, or the basic mathematics that's required for competitive programming. Then the STL. So I'll not be discussing what STL is over here, but yeah, it's a set of functions or a set of code that was written by someone else, and we are going to use it for saving our time, let's say. Also discussing the platforms you need. So I'll be primarily discussing CodeChef, Code Forces, and LeetCode. Maybe some other platforms as well, but yeah, these are the major ones. Also bit manipulations. So the reason I'm mentioning bit manipulation is because I initially thought that bit manipulation is pretty intuitive, but recently when I uploaded a few videos on from the contest, so people actually told that they didn't have any idea about bit manipulations. So I'll be covering everything you need to know about bit manipulation in detail. So all of you should definitely watch this video at least. Even if you think you are good at coding, please watch this video. Yeah, next move ahead. So now we are getting started with week 1. So week 0 was basically the time from 16th of January to 22nd of January. Now we are at week 1, that's 23rd of January, 29th of January. So in week 1, the beginners will learn hashing and strings, right? And the intermediate people would learn heaps and recursion. Now don't ask me why the icons are such over here. It was a standard theme at PowerPoint. I just picked it up, just like this icon. So yeah, that's it. Cool. At week 2, or from the time period from 30th of January till 5th of February, the beginners would be learning 2 pointers and sliding window. The intermediate people would be learning linked list and binary trees. Also, to clarify, when I say would be learning, what I mean is that let's say I started with 2 pointers. So initially I post a video, so that would be a theoretical lecture. So initially I'll explain the theory behind it or the logics behind it. Then I'll try to solve a few questions on it, After that, I'll give you a list of several questions, right, which you can solve using 2 pointers. So these questions would primarily be from LeetCode, CodeChef and Code Forces, CF and CC, right? So you can try to solve them up. If you have any doubts, post them in the group. We'll all of us will definitely try to help you out. So yeah, that's what I mean that we would be learning this. So yeah, beginners would be learning 2 pointers and sliding window. Intermediate people would be learning linked list and binary trees. So over here, the reason I have mentioned part 1 is that the way I'm trying to cover binary trees is in a bit more detail. So I'll be covering them in 2 weeks. So in the week 2, we'll only be covering part 1 of it. In the week 3, we'll be covering the part 2 of it. Cool. So yeah, in week 3, that is from 6th of February to 12th of February, beginners would be learning sorting in sets. Intermediate people would be learning binary trees part 2 and binary search trees. Moving ahead to week 4, that is from 13th to 19th of Feb, beginners would be learning queue, DQ and stacks. So these would already be have been covered in STL. So when I'll be teaching STL, I would be covering these topics, but they won't be covered in depth when I'll teach STL. So over here we'll be covering them in depth. We'll be going through the questions and stuff. What about intermediate people? So intermediate people would finally be covering graphs, one of the most important things. Good companies or companies who are paying you good actually tend to ask a lot of questions from graphs. Okay, so on week 5, from 20th to 26th February, beginners would be learning greedy algorithms or greedy approaches, and intermediate people would be learning DP. So DP or dynamic programming, I think all of you must have heard it at least. The only reason we just have a single topic in this week is because there are a lot of questions that could come from greedy and DP. So I'll want you guys to solve a lot of questions. Because we are solving a lot of questions, it doesn't make sense to put many topics in the same week because it would overburden you. Hence I'm just keeping a single topic for this week. Moving ahead to week 6. Yeah, So 27th to 6th of March, beginners would be going for binary search and intermediate people would be going for backtracking. By this time, you would have covered most of the topics that are required in the placement interviews as well. So beginners would have covered by now. Basically, I'm not even saying CPP and STL over here because that's understandable. So that's actually the week 0 or the basic mathematics. So everything is covered in the week 0. I'm talking about week 1 and week 1 to week 6. So in week 1 to week 6, beginners would have covered hashing, strings, two pointers, sliding window, sorting, sets, QDQ stack, greedy algorithms, binary search. Trust me, these are a hell lot of topics to cover in just 1.5 months. And if you are being honest with yourself, you are following the course along, I'm hoping or I'm almost sure that you will be able to solve any question that's just coming from these topics. And you can trust me when I say a lot of questions actually come from these topics, and these topics are super important. So you will always already be better than a lot of coders out there. Coming to the intermediate people, you would have learned heaps, recursions, linked list, binary trees and BSTs, binary trees and binary search trees, graphs, dynamic programming, and backtracking. So it's possible that I'm assuming that the intermediate people already know all of these topics. Let me change the pencil color. Yeah, I'm assuming that the intermediate people already know these topics, but it could be the case that they don't. In that case, I would advise them to cherry pick the question. So it's possible that, let's say there's a intermediate coder, let's say B, right? Now B doesn't knows how to do sliding window, right? Then what he can do is that while he's studying his own course, he can also start learning this from like he can also start learning sliding window itself. So that's definitely something you can do, but I won't advise the other way around. So I won't advise the beginner people to actually start learning intermediate stuff, because that would be a overburden on you, and you might end up understanding nothing, so you won't be able to understand the beginner stuff or the intermediate stuff as well. So try to stick to your bucket. However, for the intermediate people, because you will be having more context or you will be having more experience, you can definitely try cherry picking some stuff from here if you want to learn it. Okay, moving ahead to week 7 and beyond. So by week 6, you would have already covered all the topics you need, or most of the, or let's say like 95% of the topics you'll need to sit for placements, or you can say 100% in case of normal companies, right? Normal companies. I really don't like this word normal companies, but yeah, there's a reason I'm using it, because if you're sitting for top-notch companies, Google or Amazon or Microsoft or Meta, any of these companies that actually pay huge, there's a small probability that topics could come from advanced topics as well. So they could come from Union Find. I've actually seen these topics myself in my placement time, but these topics, like these questions, were only asked by the best of the best companies. So Union Find, Tries, and segment trees, right? So you could see topics from these as well. So don't worry, these also are going to be covered, but these will be covered in week 7 and beyond. So week 7 would start from 7th of March itself. So what about beginners? So beginners, congratulations, you'll no longer be a beginner by this time. You would have already learned all of this stuff, right? So what you can do is that you can start with the topics of intermediate people. By this time, I would have already covered this entire playlist. So you can start going through these topics, and the group or the Discord group would always be there. So you can ask your doubts on that. You can also scroll through the chat of other people, or the people, or the advanced or the intermediate people who have already solved the questions. Maybe you'll be able to get some insights from them as well. Cool. What about the intermediate people? So the intermediate people would start studying tries from week 7. They would study Union Find on week 8 and segment trees on week 9. This would cover all the topics they need for placements. I don't think there's any other topic a company is going to ask you. At least none of these companies has ever asked, or at least I don't know if these companies have ever asked a topic more advanced than these, right? So you will be 100% prepared for the placement. Now, is it all? Can we learn more things? Yeah, definitely we can learn more things. So we can actually start learning binary lifting, lazy segment trees, and a lot of complex algorithms. which definitely are not required for the placements, but if you want to be a competitive coder, these definitely are going to help you immensely. Now where should you learn them? I'll definitely be teaching them, but I won't be teaching them in a course manner that we'll be learning week by week. I'll rather be teaching them in a ad hoc manner. So from week 10 onwards, whenever I feel like it or whenever you guys demand it, I'll just make a video on a topic and then you can learn from that. So yeah, that completes the course and the roadmap. If you give like 8 months, not 8 months, but rather 8 weeks to this playlist, around 2 months to this effort, trust me, you are gonna be an awesome coder. You'll be able to clear most of the companies. You'll be at such a condition that you won't be a person who's actually looking out for opportunities and not getting one. You'll be someone who'll be having multiple offers at hand, right? Why I'm able to see it? Because I did the same myself. Cool. So are these dates flexible or are these like super hard and I'm not gonna change it? So I would like them to be not flexible. Like I would like that I'm not changing the dates and we are sticking to the schedule. But I would like to follow your pace as well. So if you're not able to understand it in the current pace, then we might wanna like slow down it a bit. If you're like willing to know more, then we can speed it up a bit. So should be more or less the same. So it's not like if I'm mentioning 2 months over here, it's gonna take like 5 months. Definitely not gonna be that case. Maybe a 10% or 15% up or down could happen. So we are taking into account that kind of uncertainty. Cool. Let's move ahead. Do you have any requests? If you have watched any video on this channel, or if you are like watching the contest videos I do at this channel, you would know that I never ever ask you to subscribe to this channel. I don't do that shit because I just don't want to waste your time, right? Even asking for subscribe to the channel and stuff takes around 10 seconds maybe. I don't want to do that. So I actually value your time, but it's my effort of acquiring and imparting knowledge as I can learn. So this entire channel was just created by the aim of imparting knowledge, because I believe that not everyone has a huge amount, or not everyone is financially capable of spending huge amounts to learn stuff. So I want to give free education, and it's my effort of acquiring and imparting knowledge as I learn. Also, what I would expect out of you is that try to share this roadmap to your peers or people you think would be able to benefit by this. The goal is to impart knowledge to as many souls as possible, right? So if you're gonna do this, it's gonna be a great help. It's gonna help me as well. It's gonna keep me motivated to make the best content possible. Also, the bigger the group is, the more number of people would be in that group. That's needless to say. And because of that, your questions or your doubts would be answered soon and you will be able to grow better. Okay, so a sincere request from you is that try to help others as you grow, because trust me, nothing in this world is going to give you more pleasure than that. If someone is really struggling with an issue or is struggling with a problem, try to help him out. You're definitely going to love it. Try to be honest with yourself at least. You might lie to me, you might lie to your teachers or your parents, like whomever you are lying to, but try to be honest to yourself. Don't try to fool yourself at least. Also, the last and one of the most important point is that keep helping others, keep coding, and keep spreading knowledge, because that's the entire aim of this channel as well. I'll be obliged, or I'll feel grateful if you are able to do, let's say, like two of these things. Even if you're able to do two of these things, I'll be more than happy. Please try to do this, guys, right? Cool, guys, that's it for the video. Let's wait for 16th of Jan, when I'll be releasing my first video on this channel. And yeah, that's it from my end. If you have any suggestions, if you want me to change anything, or whatever your comments are on this, let me know in the comment section below. I'll be really happy to read them out. And a huge shout out to everyone who actually reached out to me on LinkedIn and appreciated my efforts.